Hi, I'm Dan Murrell.
And I'm Roth Cornet.
And we are here with your Screen Junkies movie review for Disney's latest animated film, Moana, hitting theaters right now.
A boat! A boat!
The latest film in the Disney animated canon is hitting theaters just in time for the holidays this Thanksgiving. And Roth, I have to say, this was one that I think stacks up pretty well, especially amongst their most recent efforts.
Absolutely. I actually loved this film, and I had a little concern going in, and I think what they did that was so smart is they brought in terms of the music, a little bit of fresh blood. Lin-Manuel Miranda, who obviously is known now for Hamilton, he came in to work on this music, and it is so catchy. It has stayed with me for days since I watched the screening. How about you?
Absolutely. No, I think the music is great, and I think it's a great combination actually of old blood and new blood, because the directors of this movie did Little Mermaid, did Aladdin, did some of the previous golden age of Disney animation, and I think we're in a new one. I think these movies, Disney animation movies, are really excelling. You have Zootopia, starting with Frozen. This movie I think stands absolutely with them, and but I agree. I think it's bringing in the kind of dynamic that those guys brought to the old classics. You bring in the new blood, the new talent, the songwriting skills of Lin-Manuel Miranda and everyone else who worked on the songs for this movie. And I felt like I was watching one of those classic 90s, early 90s, late 80s Disney movies watching this movie.
But let's talk about the story, because the story has some of the familiar tropes that we've seen in a lot of previous Disney films, but there's also some things that we haven't seen before, really. So I want to talk about that a little bit. One of the things that isn't really there and is actually kind of interesting is an out-and-out villain.
Yeah, I like what they did with this movie in that it's not the kind of cackling, twirling, mustachioed, thing. Like Jafar is great, absolutely, and of course Ursula, just again with Little Mermaid and Aladdin, which are what the directors have done. But I like the fact that this was more of a story. It wasn't necessarily an opposition, a versus story where you have to do the big boss battle. It was more of a tale of the journey. It was about the journey. It was about discovery and self-discovery, and on Moana's part and on Maui's part. And Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, I think, was the perfect choice for that character. He brings that kind of ego, that kind of swagger that you want. But yeah, I like that it wasn't necessarily of we have to go defeat the bad guy, and more about this vision quest almost for these two characters.
Yeah, I mean, of course, this is a hero's journey, so they do have some monsters to face and things like that. But I thought what was more interesting to me was the internal struggle that especially Maui was facing, but Moana as well, because we've seen this before in some of the other movies, including The Little Mermaid, which is this is a young woman who is torn between her true nature and what she really desires and her parental expectations, right? And so she's got to find a way to tap into who she really is and what she really wants out of life.
Yeah.
And then she also has to think about the greater good at the same time, and she's got to ride that line. That's pretty deep for an animated movie about a teenage girl.
It is, and I like how they're kind of modernizing these stories in that, if this was made probably 20 years ago or 30 years ago, she would be, the daughter of the chief, and her destiny was to marry the prince and be the queen. And I like the fact that, no, her destiny was to be the chief of the tribe, and they didn't add that, kind of classical fairy tale twist to it. It's like, no, she was the one who was going to rise to power, and it was about choosing, are you going to take that very hefty responsibility? And it's not something that she didn't want, but there's also that idea of like your true nature, what you were meant to do versus what the world is telling you that you need to do. And that's really, I like when you can give kids, because this is a kid's movie and that's the target audience, but I like when you can give kids pose that kind of dilemma to them in a way that's understandable and relatable.
Exactly, and what was cool about it is that, the idea to me is what kind of leader do you want to be? Because if you're a leader, you have to make the decisions that you think are best, ultimately, and that's what she's challenged to do. Maui, on the other hand, also has to reconcile his hubris and sort of the mistakes he's made, and we learn more and more about him. He's not a two-dimensional character, There's sort of a depth to his backstory that I didn't expect.
Some people would say this would be blasphemy, but I had shades of Robin Williams, the genie. I mean, that performance is one of a kind.
Sure.
You cannot equal that. That is a one of a kind animated performance. But I thought that The Rock, they did kind of the same thing, which is that they cast Dwayne Johnson in this role, who comes with so much personality and such charisma, and I think they kind of write the character around that, and they play to his strengths. And that is what kind of reminded me of the genie, in that you have the kind of companion character, the kind of, character with the powers and stuff. But it's such a strong, compelling personality. And the comedy, the interplay between the two of them is a lot of what makes this movie work. And so that's kind of what reminded me of Aladdin, was that they smartly cast a really charismatic, funny actor to play the role of the guide, and then let those two play off of each other.
Yeah, and I think that we've talked a little bit about the things that you would expect from a Disney animated movie, right? There's great characters, you've got a fun animal sidekick in this, voiced by Alan Tudyk. I don't know if you know,
noticed that in the credits. That's crazy.
Yeah, but it's gorgeous, right? Like, the ocean has a personality, truly has a personality in this movie, and the water is beautifully executed in the animation. This is obviously computer animated movie, but the tattoos on Maui were hand-drawn, and the combination I thought was so stunning. So this really has everything that I think a child is going to want out of a Disney animated movie. I'm not one anymore, so I don't know. But I think that there's plenty there truly for adults to dig into.
I even think it's the best of this current crowd. I certainly liked it better than Frozen. I've been taking some flack because in a year in which we got Zootopia and Kubo and the Two Strings, which are two, I thought, really good films, Finding Dory, which I enjoyed, pretty much. I think this might have been my favorite animated film of the year. And that's saying something, because you have some really stiff competition this year, because we've had a great year in animation, but this movie was so reminiscent in a way of those Disney classics of the 90s, and played to those strengths so well, and had great music, and I thought a great story, a great lesson to teach kids. It didn't just become sound and noise and whatever else. I honestly think this might be, for me, the best animated movie of the year.
I will say that I loved the movie. I would say 100% buy your ticket. This is a movie that anyone can enjoy. These are rich characters, literally richly drawn.
Yes.
Both in terms of their internal workings and in terms of what you see on screen. This is a beautiful movie, catchy songs, like you said. You will walk out feeling joyful. You will walk out feeling uplifted. Great performances all around.
Yeah, definitely go see it. This is not just a movie that you're going to take the kids to and sit through and wait till it's over. I think this is a movie that everyone is going to like. It's perfect for the holidays. Families looking out to go to the movies. Take grandma and the kids out to the movies.
Oh, grandma. We didn't even talk about grandma.
Grandma's going to love this. Great movie for the whole family. Absolutely recommended. Moana, check it out this Thanksgiving weekend. Roth, thanks as always for reviewing this with me. We got some award season coming up. We got some great reviews.
Oh, we have some good ones coming up. You guys should look out for that here on Screen Junkies News. You can tweet at us. I'm at Roth Cornet or at SJ News.
And I'm at Murrell Dan on Twitter, or as Roth said, at SJ News. Thanks for watching our review of Moana. We'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching Screen Junkies News. You can click, select, tap, whatever you want. The box is on screen to watch even more Screen Junkies News, and don't forget to click the logo to subscribe.